everyone. Finished watching the next episode of Beetleborgs, Norman Nussbaum, Vampire Hunter. There's a new kid in school, Norman Nussbaum. Joe sees he has a bunch of books on vampires. He tells her he's a vampire hunter, and he thinks there's a vampire in Charterville. Later, he tells Joe, Drew, and Roland that he's tracked the vampire to Hillhurst Mansion. The kids head to Hillhurst to defend Norman from the monsters. Once Fangula hears his name, though, he's worried. The Nussbaum family are legendary vampire hunters. The kids stall Norman, while the monsters dress up in disguises. Norman sees through the disguises and chases Fangula. The kids are about to stop him, but have to go deal with the Magnivores. Inside, the monsters try to hold off Norman. Mums stands in his way, but gets repelled by a magic Egyptian amulet. Wolfie gets scared away by a bottle of flea bath powder. Frankenbeans gets spooked by his own reflection in a mirror. Norman has Fangula cornered, but luckily the Beetleborgs defeat the Magnivores and come in to convince Norman to let Fangula go. Suddenly, a giant dragon crashes in and threatens to kill Norman unless he lets Fangula live. Or continue to exist, whatever. Norman agrees and Flabber turns back to normal. Norman shrugs it off and leaves. He says Fangula is insignificant. Fangula feels insulted and yells at Norman as he walks away. The monsters and kids drag him away from the door. This is definitely more a standout episode at this point in the show. The plot is pretty simple. A vampire hunter goes after Fangula until they decide not to. The Beetleborgs are kept out of the action by the Magnivores screwing around. The Beetleborgs have a surreal fight with the Magnivores. I'm sure in B-Fighter everything that happens has context, but here it's all just random weirdness. It's fun, just not relevant to the real plot. I feel like that some horror elements are brought back in this one. One of my favorite parts of the episode is the monsters dressing up as the Smith family. Each of them has goofy little quirks to pass as human. When Norman is stopped by the monsters, he gets past them with a few movie references. Mums he repels with an amulet and chant. The chant, I think, might have actually been from some old Mummy movies. The remake with Brendan Fraser hadn't come out yet at that time. The amulet, though, I have no idea. Maybe there is a magic amulet somewhere in the Mummy mythos that I'm not familiar with. He first tries to scare Frankenbeans with a lighter. He turns it on and yells, "Fire! Fire!" Most classic Frankenstein's monsters had fears of fire. Norman Nussbaum was played by Christopher Kaczmarek. He had roles off and on in the 90s and 2000s. He was both in film and television as well as radio. He voiced Dwayne in the radio show Adventures in Odyssey. His biggest role was in a film with Jim Varney, Treehouse Hostage. He appears to have retired from acting. Season 1 is nearly over, and it's shocking to me how much more consistently it's held its quality over Disney, Neo Saban, and Hasbro Power Rangers seasons, nearly half its length. So that's it for this one. Hope you enjoyed it. See ya.
Would you like some milk and cookies?